Most people spend their lives working a job to be able to pay for their bills. And it doesn't even matter if they or you like your job or not. Living on one income stream alone makes us feel dependent, financially dependent. And not just that, it also does make us dependent on one income stream. No wonder that almost 60% of employees name money as their number one source of stress, even the ones who earn $100,000 per year and more. And to have to keep working in order to pay for your expenses is the definition of the rat race. But it doesn't have to be that way. So in this video, I want to talk about how you can figure out if you are stuck in the rat race. And we go through an escape plan, so a 3-phase plan that shows you step by step how you can get out of the rat race without sacrificing your lifestyle, because I'm Sophia. And on this channel, I talk about how to build wealth without living frugal, because ultimately what we want is to live life on our terms, right? And that means neither being dependent on one source nor pinching pennies in our everyday life. All right, so let's start with how you can figure out if you're stuck in the rat race. So when I had just started working, I rediscovered my first money coach, Bodo Schäfer, and I was watching one of his videos where he told a story from when he started out on his own journey to financial freedom. And one of the first questions his coach asked him, so he did have a coach who taught him money, and he asked him, how long can you live off of your money? And I thought, I don't know. And I've actually never thought about it that way. So what I did, I immediately checked how much money I had at the time. That means money in cash, but also money invested. And I also calculated, okay, what are my expenses for a month and what is that throughout a whole year? And then how many months or how many years can I live off that money? Now, when you do this and you find out, okay, you can live off your money for 4 weeks or maybe 8 weeks, then you are stuck in the rat race. Because sometimes it takes just one incident and that income stream is gone. So relying on your paycheck on a weekly basis, that is pure dependency and you have no freedom whatsoever. And I think one of the reasons why most people never escape this rat race is because of lifestyle inflation. You know, when as soon as your income starts growing, you also start to spend more, and that they do not create passive income streams. Now, if you do this exercise and your answer is, oh wow, I can live several months off of my wealth, then that's already a good start, and I bet you feel a little bit safer than before. And if your answer happens to be years, then you're already on an excellent track. That was what came up for me, and it felt really good. And not just that, but also thinking of my life and my financial situation in this way really sparked an ambition for me. The ambition of, you know what? I would like to be set for life. So then I wanted to add more years I could live off my wealth and more, so that at some point I'd actually become financially independent. Now, what I have used back then to find out my wealth, I calculated my net worth. And I've been doing this for many, many years in an Excel sheet where I just type in all the balances, the balances of my bank accounts and high yield savings accounts and investment accounts. And then it automatically calculates my net worth for me. If you want to use this as well, it's free. There's a link down below. And now let's start with your 3-phase escape plan. And we start with phase number 1, which is build your cash buffer. Okay, so technically this is an emergency fund, but I recently decided to not call it emergency fund anymore, just because emergency has this, this negative touch. And we do not want to attract emergencies into our life. And the German word for it is actually eiserne Reserve, which translates to something like iron reserve. But I don't know if that's actually something that you would understand. So I'm just going to call it cash buffer because that's what it is. It is a financial buffer for when your income stops. So when you start building your cash buffer, do not do that in your checking account where you pay your bills from. Instead, preferably build it in a high yield savings account, because that way that money is out of sight and it also earns interest on the money you put in. So it even starts growing a little faster than you put money into it. And you fill that up just automatically with an automatic transfer from your checking account to that high yield savings account. 6 months, either worth full of expenses, so all the expenses that you need on a monthly basis, or you can also use your income. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you can live off that money for 6 months, because then this cash buffer actually already buys you freedom for half a year. Isn't that great? And now in order to be able to fill that freedom fund up quickly, you may have to reduce some expenses. I did promise that you do not have to sacrifice your lifestyle. And to accomplish this, I want you to be very honest with yourself. What is the absolute essential that you need to live? And what are rather the things that you spend money on, but they are not things you actually really need to survive? They are things that you want. And then once you figured out the wants, you can optimize. So you do not need to cut them out completely, but what you could do, for example, is to go in sequence. For example, instead of going shopping and buying a whole new outfit at once, what you could do is you buy the shoes in 1 month and then you buy the shirts in the month after that, or something like that. This is the time where you can get creative by asking yourself, okay, what's really, really important for my lifestyle? So where do I not want to cut back? But how can I still manage to fill up my freedom fund? And then once your freedom fund is filled up, we enter phase 2, and that is expand your income sources. So the goal here is to start shifting from active income, so from your one income source, which is probably your job, to passive income. Passive income as in there is a thing that creates you money that you don't have to actively work for anymore. And the easiest form of passive income is through investments. So you use the money from your active income, your job, where you put in the hours and then you get paid for the hours. You take that money and you buy assets. And then those assets start paying you. And in a way, we already started that by putting your money in phase 1 into a high yield savings account. Because on the money in that high yield savings account, you earn interest. And interest income is one form of passive income. You can also create dividend income by buying stocks, either single stocks or funds, that then pay you a dividend for owning those stocks or funds. You could also create rental income by renting something out that you already have, or something that you acquire from that money, from your active income money. And I would also count capital gain into that category, although technically you only have a capital gain when you sell. So when you buy, for example, a stock and that stock grows in value, then you will have a capital gain. But you will only have the capital gain when you really sell the stock. So it's not like it immediately creates an income for you. But the advantage of the capital gain is that it compounds. And we need that compounding factor if we want to add years and years and years and years of, us being able to live off that whole bunch of money. So that's why I count this here as well. Now, there are other passive income streams as well. I would say they are less easy, but theoretically, they can also increase your wealth. They can even increase your wealth massively. And those are, for example, side hustles, or if you stop doing it just as a side hustle and you make it your main hustle, so then a business at the end of the day. So a business that generates you money, so where you sell a product. Now, the way I see it, it sounds way more romantic these days, to create passive income by selling a product. But to sell a product that actually creates a relevant income stream for you is not as easy as it seems, because you have to master all kinds of different skills in order to do it successfully. If that is something you want to do, absolutely go for it. I'm just preparing you for the bumps in the road that might arise. All right, another option would be freelancing. Technically, that is not passive income. It's rather active income where you get hired and then you get paid to do a thing. But it can bring in more money than from active income as employee. And that's then more money you could put towards your assets. So those were a few ideas of expanding your income sources. You do not have to start all of them at once. You can take one at a time and then see how it goes for you. And then also keep learning of how you can, expand all those different sources. And if you want me to dive deeper in that topic of income sources, let me know in the comments. And while you do this, so as you start expanding your different income sources, always keep a close eye to the question, how long can I live off my money? Because it's here in this phase where you start working to one more year, and one more year. And then at some point you will enter phase 3. And phase 3 is make work optional. This is where you work because you want to and not because you have to anymore. So that means you will get to phase 3 when you have created enough wealth or enough income sources that would allow you to stop your job immediately, and you would know that you'd be fine pretty much for the rest of your life. And at this point, you have several options. You could retire. Retire as in really stop working and only do the things that you like. You could work less. So if you maybe enjoy your job, but you don't want to do it full-time anymore, you can just cut back. You could also switch jobs into maybe something that is more fulfilling, even though it doesn't pay enough or as much as the previous one. Or maybe after you have experimented with all those different income streams during phase 2, maybe you found that one in particular was really, really fun for you. And then you can double down on that one and make even more money if that's what you want. So I want you to know that escaping the rat race is not about quitting your job. It's about creating financial choices. And I'm convinced that finishing phase 1, your cash buffer, will already make you feel so much safer, because you will know that you can step out of the hamster wheel and you would have half a year to find something new. It's just that at this point you're still depleting your wealth. So if you have built a cash buffer, but then you live off that cash buffer, it gets less. But then as you go through the phases, you will reach a point where it doesn't even have to get less, because you can just live off of the income streams. And then the further you progress through the phases, the more financial peace of mind you will have. In case you need some inspiration of that lifestyle of financial independence, retire early, then I'll link a video where I go through those movements and sub-movements in detail. Either way, I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.